What's up, everyone? Gary here again on day 4 of the 30-day video challenge. Today, making a video, just going to talk a little bit about myself today, my story of struggle and success. To be honest, I've had a pretty good life compared to a lot of people on this planet, so I definitely give thanks to that every day. But I definitely, if it were not for my past, if it were not for the experiences that I've gone through in my life, I wouldn't be here standing in front of this camera right now. So I've been through my struggle and my success. Back in 2006, I had an experience that completely changed my life. I was before 2006, from about junior high until my mid-20s, I just really didn't like life. I really didn't like myself. I hated looking in the mirror. I did not like who I was. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. I didn't have a purpose for my life. I really didn't see a purpose. I tried, a lot of different angles and a lot of different theories and a lot of different ways to try to connect to a higher source. I had relationships with women. I made money. I've always been able to make really good money. But really, I just wasn't fulfilled. I just felt like I was in this constant vicious cycle, in this loop, this cycle that kind of played every day. And I just kind of thought that that's what life was. That's what my life really, what it added up to. And one of my best friends asked me if I wanted to, have an experience that would totally change my life. And I did, and that experience really did. It completely changed my life. It almost felt like a quantum leap in my personal evolution. Everything in my life changed after that. After that experience, I started picking up books, reading about, trying to figure out what had happened to me, because it completely took me from one side of the spectrum to the next. I was very depressed, hopeless. I really didn't have any fulfillment in my life. Nothing was fulfilling in my life. It didn't matter how much money I made, what type of relationship I was in. Nothing really mattered. It was just, everything was so unfulfilling. Everything was just so empty in my life. And after having that experience, it really opened my eyes to the wonder of life. I really started to question, what can I do to better my life? What can I start doing to not only make myself happier, but in the end, make other people happy? And the first book that I ever read was Think and Grow Rich. Fantastic book. It completely changed my reality. And the reason being is that this book is full of different character traits or different values to have. And those are things that, the religions that I had looked into before, that I had explored before, they really didn't sit down and give you a blueprint as, hey, think this way, feel this way, adopt these type of character traits, and your life will be completely different. What the religions I ever saw, that I've ever seen, say, do this a certain way, or here will be the pain. The pain is always, once you die, you're either going to go to this glorious place called heaven, or you're going to go to this place called hell, which really doesn't sound that great. This book really taught me that, hey, heaven and hell, there are the creation of you. You create that reality. Either your life, your life in this reality is either going to be a heaven or it's going to be a hell. And that's based on the way that you think, and the way that you think determines the way that you act. And that completely changed everything for me. The first chapter, having a desire, having a bigger desire than you. And, I started to make a bigger desire. My bigger desire was, first thing is, I want to make more money. I want to make $1 million. That was the biggest desire. That was a big, huge picture I could paint up in my head. So I was a mechanic at that time. I was, part owner, still am part owner of the mechanic shop, and I just decided I'm not really getting where I want to be doing this, working in this environment. That environment was a reflection of an old me, full of anger, full of hostility, those types of emotions and those types of actions that go along with those emotions were in that place of work, my environment, my main environment. So I quit. I quit working as a mechanic, And when I quit, I still had, a lot of responsibilities for, someone in their mid-20s. I had a house payment, I had 2 car payments, I had a motorcycle payment, credit card payments. I mean, I had a lot of consumer debt. I've had over $50,000 in consumer debt, plus a house, plus all the, ancillaries that go along with a house, the cable, the internet, the utilities, all those things. So I had all of those things, and prior to that, I knew nothing. I didn't practice saving or financial responsibility at all. So when I quit, I had absolutely no money saved. None. I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was that, hey, I'm going to take action on this new path that's been presented to me, these new ideas that are in my mind. I'm going to take action on them, and I'm going to have faith that everything's going to work out. Well, everything totally worked out, but I can definitely tell you that going through that path, taking those steps, step by step, is that it was scary. In the moment, once your bills start catching up, you're not able to make the credit card payments anymore. Creditors are coming after you. You start getting foreclosure notices on your house. It becomes scary in the moment. And I learned a lot. In that summer, I learned a lot for sure. I learned a lot about our credit system and money system and how it really works. The real underlying fine print of how that stuff works, and it's really, really fascinating. It's not even as scary as most people want to think it is. It's just a big, huge game of Monopoly, and when you really understand it, it doesn't become scary anymore at all. It actually becomes quite fun. And the lesson I learned is because I lost everything. I ended up selling every material possession that I own, everything. I sold all my cars. I ended up selling my house to avoid foreclosure, which was a huge blessing in my life. Super grateful for that. And but at the end of the day, I was left with nothing. I had no material possessions at all. And I had to end up moving back in with my parents, like I might have talked to on one of those previous videos. But I moved back in with my parents, and I had to start getting to work. So when I got into sales, I had a great friend of mine get me into sales, telephone sales, and that was a huge blessing. So, for me, I've gone through a lot of really dark times in my life, depression, anxiety, worry. I felt those emotions. And, going through everything I went through, it taught me that there really isn't a lot to be afraid of. In life, things are going to happen, especially when you choose to take on a new, higher path in life. You have to let go of a lot of things, and I had to learn to let go of material possessions. Even though now, when I'm on the other side, when I'm successful, I have money, I have things again, but in the end of the day, it really does, you can step back and you're kind of unattached from things. And I had to go through that struggle, and I had to go through those lessons, and I had to learn to be able to let go and to not be attached to material things. Yeah, it's nice to have nice things, but at the end of the day, you have to be willing to let go of those nice things in order to get onto a higher plane of living or existence. And knowing, because it felt like crap losing everything or giving up everything, selling everything. It was hard. Because we become emotionally attached to those things, but at the end of the day, they're just things, and they're going to get old. We're going to want new things anyway. So sometimes we have to let go of the things that we have in order to move on to the next level. And that also goes along with the law of sacrifice. The law of sacrifice simply states that we have to be willing to let go of things at a lower level in order to receive things at a higher level. So for me, that was literally my old character at that time in 2006 was completely shattering. It was completely disintegrating. And a new me was being born. And when we're in the middle, it's almost like the caterpillar and the butterfly. When the caterpillar's in its cocoon, it's going through its metamorphosis. It's potentially going through pain, physical pain, emotional pain, psychological pain. It's probably going through that. It's making a huge change. And that's the same with us. Things in our reality, when a loved one dies, or a significant other, or a relationship goes its separate ways, or we lose our job, or we lose all of our physical possessions, what that is that is life. That is life giving us a reason or an opportunity to grow, to become a butterfly. And it's not bad when we learn to let go, and if we can look at life in that manner, that hey, it's just a game, and when things happen, they're for the good, they're for my growth, they're to facilitate that growth. When we can look at life in that way, it makes things so much easier, because we know, hey, the quicker I can learn to let go, the quicker the new will come into my life. And you know, I'll be honest, I mean, right now I'm going through that same thing. I'm at a time and place in my life where I'm on a new path again. And I'm having to look at things around me, and I'm having to say, I might have to let these things go. And that's okay, because in the letting go, you are opening up. You're opening up to something so much bigger coming into your life. So be aware of that. Look at that. Maybe start to look at your life right now, because I know a lot of people right now who are going through some significant changes, whether it's with their work, whether it's with where they live, whether it's the relationships they're in. A lot of things are changing on this planet right now. And we have to look at that change, and we have to say, what is it of a lower nature that I'm holding on to that's holding me back from attaining something at a higher level? Because it's quite often we don't want to let go of things because we don't necessarily believe, or it's hard to believe, that there is something of such a greater nature coming to us in a later time. So I'll be honest, yesterday and today, I haven't been in it. Man, I just was so out of it yesterday. And making this video today, I'm definitely feeling better, but I wanted to take a minute, talk about my story of success and my story of struggle. We have to go through our times of struggle in order to really be grateful, in order to really understand the times when we're having success. Okay, there's a time to sow and a time to reap. But we don't do both in the same season. Okay, there's a time to sow and a time to reap, but we don't do both in the same season. I believe that when we're going through struggles in our life, that is when we are reaping, that is when we're learning, that is when we are developing new and I hope in most cases more advanced character traits, so that we can reap on an even higher level in the future. But we cannot do both at the same time. So take a look at your life. Ask yourself, what's going on in my life right now? Okay, what are some things that I personally need to let go of that are holding me back from taking my life to the next higher level? Okay, because it might be scary, but as soon as you let go, boom, the whole world opens up to you. So take a look at your life. Ask yourself that question. Okay, if there's something in your life that you believe that you need to let go of, ask yourself this question. This is called 0 point thinking. 0 point thinking. Okay, and the question is, okay, knowing what I now know, knowing what I now know, when I get into this situation still. Okay, so if you're in a relationship that you're kind of on the fence on, ask yourself that question. Knowing what I now know, would I get into this relationship with this person again? Knowing what I now know, knowing what I now know, would I get into this relationship again? Or work. Okay, if you're at a job, if you do something for money that you don't like, doesn't make you feel good, doesn't bring you joy, doesn't bring you fulfillment, but instead you might be angry, worried, resentful, any of those emotions every day when you go to work, ask yourself that question. Knowing what I now know, knowing what I now know, will I get into this job again? This partnership, will I get into it again knowing what I now know? Ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question, and if the answer is no, I would not get into this relationship, I would not get into this partnership, I would not have taken this job. If you say no to any of those things, you need to now move on to the next portion, is that how can I get out of this, or how can I make a significant change right away, immediately? Because that is the anchor that is holding you back. Okay, if you're in a relationship that you don't believe that you would not get into again, knowing what you now know, that right there is your sticking point. You need to get out of that relationship, or that relationship needs to become significantly different than it is right now. Okay, so ask yourself that question, be honest, be vulnerable, and you got to take the next step, which is the action part of it. You've got to get out of the relationship, get out of the job, and know and have faith that as soon as you open up that vacuum, it will get filled. So that's it for today. Hope this message serves you well. If you need anything, if I can serve you in any way, get in touch with me through any of the different modalities of doing that. Email, Facebook, give me a call. Doesn't matter. I would love to serve you. So I hope this message serves you well. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.